Hi Leo, happy birthday to those of you celebrating July, and welcome to your July 2020 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description video for more details there. As far as what's in front of us, we have a bridging the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right represent their energy toward the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through all those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards with some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as for the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. And keep in mind, I'm going to refer to the cards on the left as your energy, but if you feel more like the cards on the right sound like your energy, and this sounds like the other person's, then trust that. Alright? So, starting with the past energy on your side, we have the Prince of Arrows. So this is actually the equivalent of the Knight of Swords in traditional tarot, which is Gemini energy. So this could just be saying that you might have reached out to this person recently and maybe expressed to them that there was some romantic interest, especially given that we see the name Cupid on the card there. Now this could have been during the Venus retrograde, certainly. We just got through the Venus retrograde, even though it's going to be in shadow for a while. But given that this represents Gemini energy, it could just be pointing to the Venus retrograde, or, I mean, we did just start the Mercury retrograde in Cancer as well, so it could be pointing to that energy as well. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing there. It looks like you might have reached out to this person, expressed romantic interest, and maybe to this point you guys might have just been friends. Past energy on their side, we see the Six of Cups. So I actually could see this playing out two different ways. For one, this could be someone that you might have already been with in the past. So this could have been an ex that you reached out to, for example. And that could be saying that, they might have had fond memories of you as well. So it might have been a mutual thing when you guys reconnected. Or for others of you, this could just be saying that you expressed your romantic interest to this person, but they might have still had someone else in the picture from their past. So, for example, again, considering that they were dealing with those same retrograde energies, it's possible that you two might have been talking, but they might have had someone from their past come back around. And if that's the case, it looks like there was still some interest there. The reason why I say that could be the case is because she does have her back turned to the cards on that side, so could just be saying that this might represent a third party in that regard. In the present position on your side, we have the Five of Cups. So this is actually Scorpio energy here, which for you guys is your fourth house. So this could just be saying that, again, if this is someone that you were dealing with, maybe you did find out that they did have an ex come back into the picture. Maybe there was some disappointment there, since we do see those 3 cups spilled and also those 3 lights in that tower there. So this is definitely possible. I don't often see third-party scenarios, but this can definitely be the case here. But for others of you, this could just be disappointment around the situation as well, which is saying, maybe things got off to a bad start in the past, or maybe you might have even realized that there were some issues with the connection, and maybe because of those issues, it might have driven them back to someone from their past, and maybe you're just reflecting on the disappointment there. Now, keep in mind, you guys have Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which is your 12th house, too. So it can just have you looking at things in a bit more of a negative light, maybe looking at some situations and second-guessing how you handled them, maybe having a lot of doubts, maybe looking at some ways that you might have self-sabotaged this situation. So could just be the energy that you're in there in that regard. And not to mention, you guys are going to have that full moon eclipse in Capricorn, which is your 6th house, and that's another energy that could lead to a lot of self-criticism too. So could just be a bit of a temporary energy you guys are in. Present energy on their side is me not being able to pick up the card. There we go. 2 of Wands. So for a lot of you, I feel like this is saying that even if this person did maybe entertain the thought of someone else from the past, it looks like with this 2 of Wands energy here, it does represent a bit of a fresh start vibe. So this can just be saying that they're coming back around to you now. And as far as timing goes here too, this actually represents the first 10 degrees of Aries, and Mars will be moving into those degrees of Aries. Well, actually, I think it's just about to get there, and then it's definitely going to be there for a long time. Pretty much the rest of 2020, we're going to have Mars in Aries. So for this showing up in the present position, it could just be pointing to that. saying that this person could be coming back into the picture if they did actually move away from you, or again, if it was just a matter of you guys trying to get things off the ground, maybe you had to air some grievances from the past. Looks like now they actually will be open to moving things forward with you. Future position on your side, we have the Eight of Staves. So this represents a lot of communication. So I definitely feel like for the majority of you, it is likely that, like I said, whoever this actually represented another person in the picture, that might have been something that popped back up for them during the retrograde energies. And now, that starts to pass as we get out of these retrograde energies. Or this actually is saying that, this was you pretty much trying to rekindle a situation with them and there wasn't another person in the picture, but this was you that they actually viewed in a positive way. Looks like there's definitely going to be some momentum there, and it looks like you probably would be encouraged by it because with this card showing up here, this is Sagittarius energy, which for you guys is your fifth house of romance, creativity, and you guys pretty much are the natural rulers of the fifth house too. So see a lot of communication here, possibly even via social media. So it's possible the two of you live at a distance too, and that could even be what this artwork here is symbolizing, that you guys might have been at a distance from each other, and maybe that could have even been the reason for the separation. But it definitely looks like there's some communication that'll be taking place, and probably frequent communication at that. Future energy on their side, we have the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Hermit. So this is interesting energy here. This is actually Gemini energy, and then the Ace of Pentacles in this regard, I feel like this is saying that, there could be some communication about you guys actually taking things to a stable, committed level, but then I feel like they might withdraw for a while to think about it. So maybe that's part of the issue too. Maybe this person is a bit non-committal, and that could be part of the problem. Because just looking at the way these energies line up, to me, the Knight of Swords definitely represents communication, which we definitely see there with you as well with the Eight of Staves. So it could be one of those things where they might like to have things in a very particular way. They might want to, I wouldn't necessarily say controlling, but, they definitely might like to make sure the pace goes exactly how they want it to go. Well, I guess that pretty much is controlling, right? But yeah, with that Ace of Pentacles, it shows that they will consider definitely having something stable with you. But at the same time, like I said, I feel like they might just withdraw to really think about it for a while, which I guess isn't the worst thing, because like I said, even though Venus retrograde is now done, it's still going to be in its shadow for a pretty good chunk of July, and then Mercury retrograde will end around July 12th, but Mercury will be in its shadow too. So, if this is just them trying to think it out through the rest of July, that's probably not the worst thing anyway, given the energies at play there. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have the Six of Coins. So this is interesting energy here, because actually seeing this makes me think that it could have been some of you that might have left in the past. And that could be why you're in that Five of Cups position in the present, where, you might have reached out to them and, realized that maybe you might have messed up in some way, shape, or form, because this card comes after the Five of Pentacles, of course, which we always refer to as the being left out in the cold energy, and you could see like that snowy background there. So it's like coming out of that energy. And then also, if you look at her facial expression, she doesn't look very amused, right? And then we see him coming back in, and we think of that Six of Coins energy as balance, but yet she already has three on her side, and you're, if this is your energy, it's like you're extending another pentacle their way. So it's like trying to make up for something in that regard. For some of you, this could even say, try to be careful around trying to throw money at a problem as well. Now, it's probably going to be for a small percentage view, but that's another way I can see that playing out. And bottom of the deck on their side is the Eight of Swords. So traditionally, the Eight of Swords represents that energy of not being able to move forward, a lot of second guessing, not feeling comfortable making a move. And with this deck in particular, though, what always stands out to me is the way it looks like she's kind of looking over her shoulder at that figure over there. So this could just be saying that, yeah, for some of you, that definitely could point to what I was saying, that for some of you, this could have represented a third party on their end, where, like I said, maybe they still had an ex in the picture for them that might have came back around. Either way, that seems to be a bit of a temporary thing. Whatever that third party dynamic did seem to be, whether that was from your end or their end, it doesn't seem like something that's ongoing from what I can see, but looks like that definitely could have been a factor on one of your ends in the past at the very least. Alright, moving on to the Oracle cards. First, we'll see if we get anything from the Mystic Moon Oracle deck here. And for those of you who haven't seen this type of reading from me before, I actually did pre-shuffle the deck before we started recording. And what I'm looking for here is just some jumpers. First, I'll look for unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, I just take that as a sign to move on to the next deck. So we'll see if we get anything. Alright, nothing coming up yet, but I'll give it a few more shuffles. Okay, nothing there, so we'll see if we get any unspoken messages from them to you. Okay, doesn't like anything coming up there either, but I'll give it a few more shuffles. Alright, and so next we'll move on to the Wisdom Oracle deck. Same situation, I did pre-shuffle this deck before we started recording, but here I'm just looking for one card and we'll wrap up. Okay, there we go. You guys got Unfinished Symphony. There's the artwork, and the number is 10. Someone else got this card too. Probably not going to remember what sign it was, but it was one of the water signs, because, I mean, I just started with fire, and it wasn't Aries, so pretty sure it was one of the water signs. Which one, I don't know, but if you are dealing with a water sign, you might want to check their reading, because there could definitely be a connection there, but we'll see what the messages have to say. Okay, it says unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The Oracle's message. This is the time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you leave things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. Actually, the more I think about it, it might have actually been Aries. So if you're dealing with an Aries too, same thing, especially since we do see the Aries energy there, you might want to check out their reading. Sorry. Mercury retrograde thoughts right now. The relationship message says, moving on is difficult when love lingers, things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close the door on the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. So, I mean, for some of you, that might have actually already happened as far as you reaching out to this person, and that could be what that Prince of Arrows energy is about. With the Five of Cups, it looks like there is some disappointment there. But I do feel like the momentum will pick up between the two of you again. Like I said, even if it seems to drag a bit, that probably is just more a matter of the Mercury retrograde energy. And like I said, the fact that Venus is still in shadow, even though it's not retrograde anymore. But that Hermit energy, too. I mean, especially with the Eight of Staves and the Knight of Swords, on both, those are both communicative energies in the future. But with the Hermit, it looks like there still might be, a bit of withdrawal on their part. Um, but I do feel like, this is more of a temporary vibe that I'm getting. So, we'll see if that's the case when we get to the August readings. But yeah, I don't necessarily see this as like a permanent break between the two of you. Could just be that, like I said, you guys might have to discuss some things and then just let things unfold naturally from there. But hopefully that resonated with you guys. Once again, happy early birthday to those of you who celebrate in July, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.